The Women and Girls in Eastern and Southern Africa Democracy Development Project has tackled different subjects related to democracy development, freedom of speech, and civil rights in Southern and Eastern Africa. In most of the cases, we looked at women and girls' rights in relation to democracy development, sustainable development, in the use of natural resources such as sustainability of food economy, women and girls' right to land, food, water and energy. Then finally, we observed what is being done to enhance media practices and allow women and girls' rights in the media, then affect the way they're handled by the media in relation to the aforementioned points. Today, we will highlight some of the important solutions that we discussed in this project, from which African women and girls could be empowered and participate fully in building their nations. My name is Thierry Francis Mbabane.
In Africa, where I come from, colonialism imported European ideals of gender.
In the very beginning, Faith Mukwesha discussed serious problems that women today undergo.
For example, in Southern Africa, we had fluid gender roles, such that women could become leaders. They could become whoever they wanted to be. There was access to that. Women were not like domesticated because they had to go out to fetch firewood, to look for vegetables, to work in the fields. So actually women were not domesticated.
Faith is a researcher in gender studies department at Ebo Academy University in Turku, and also a teacher of gender in African literature.
So the concept of domesticating women in the domestic space came with the British gender ideals of domesticity. So in that way, they affected African gender roles. So what we are calling for as African women is that there should be a decolonization of gender roles, because we are saying that the gender inequality that we are experiencing is a result of colonialism. So when we fought against colonialism, women's issues were not given priority. What was given priority was to get flag independence, political independence, so that we could rule ourselves. But in the process, women's issues were not considered to be a priority, because the priority was fighting for independence.
We are talking about these after almost 50 years or more, around 50 years. And why these questions didn't come on table before?
Yeah, that's the interesting question, because this has become even more important now in the 21st century, that you find women are really standing up to demand that they have a right to equality. But it also is influenced by the Millennium Development Goals. One of the goals is to have gender equality amongst all genders. So it actually focuses on women's rights so that women can have equal access to the economy, equal access to the political structures, equal access to public space, so that they can work. So I think there are many issues that are giving rise to this desire for gender equality, especially on the African women's side, because African women feel that they've suffered double oppression. They've suffered oppression during colonialism, whereby they were oppressed by the white masters. They've also suffered oppression from African traditional patriarchy, whereby they've been dominated by men. So since the independence of African states, traditional patriarchal structure has remained in place. So women now feel that maybe this is the right time to voice their concerns and struggle for this equality.
One of serious issues about women development is female genital mutilation. According to World Health Organization, more than 200 million women and girls alive today have undergone female genital mutilation, in short, FGM. At least every year, there are an estimated 3 million girls at risk of undergoing FGM. The majority of girls are cut before the age of 15. In the Horn of Africa, numbers shows a dramatic situation with 98% of women in Somalia, 89% of women in Eritrea, 74% of women in Ethiopia, while 27% of women in Kenya undergo FGM between the age of 15 and 45.
International Solidarity Foundation is empowering women in basically two ways, supporting their income generation, and the other way how we empower women is to prevent gender-based violence against women and girls. And in that area we specifically focus on female genital mutilation.
Maria Vakiparta is a gender specialist in the International Solidarity Foundation based in Finland.
In Kenya, the national prevalence for female genital mutilation has gone down to around 30%, but there are 4 regions where the prevalence is still very high. The region close to Somali border, Kisii, where we operate, Masai, and Kuria regions. So in the Kisii region in the western Kenya, where we operate with our local partners, the FGM prevalence for girls is close to 100%. So that is the statistical situation in Kenya. In Somaliland too, the prevalence is close to 100%. So Somaliland is one of the countries where the national prevalence, FGM prevalence, is among the highest in the world.
The situation of women's rights development in these countries has many handicaps at all fronts. According to UN Women, in Somalia, there is a serious limitation caused mostly by religious belief on the role and status of women in society. In Kenya, women's empowerment is hindered by polygamy, early marriage, and harmful cultural and traditional practices such as female genital cutting. Since a long time ago, there have been many programs that aim to fight against and prevent from FGM, for example. But when you read statistics, you understand that the goals are too far to reach. So the main question is, why FGM persists?
if we look at the reasons upholding the practices in these two countries, in Somaliland, the main reason perpetuating the FGM practice is the misconception that FGM is mandated by religion. That is a very powerful reason for people to continue the practice. Parents are not willing to stop the practice if they think that it's mandated by religion, and the same goes for political leaders. They are not willing to enact a law banning FGM if they think that FGM is mandated by religion. So that is the main reason for the continuation of the practice in Somaliland. Kisi community is Christian. And there, the FGM practice is not I wouldn't say not at all, but not very strongly related to religion. The Kisi community is highly patriarchal community where the male dominance in all sectors of life is basically total. So female genital mutilation is just one way of controlling women, and especially women's sexuality. So in Kisi region, women are subjected to men economically, politically, sexually, in many ways. FGM is a kind of adulthood right, initiation right, and girls who are not mutilated. And this is common to both Somaliland and Kenya, that girls who are not cut are seen as immoral and not pure. So the ritual purity, in a way, is the common denominator for these two regions.
What is the best tool so far for African women to raise fast and stand on their own rights?
We are pushing for women's rights, but I think the best interventions that women are fighting for, girls must have access to education. Women must have access to education up to universities. You find that there are not many women, African women, who are educated. Most families, they don't have enough resources, especially money, because most universities, schools, and you have to pay money, and most families don't have enough. So what happens? They give priority to the boy child, and the boy child is sent to school, and the girl child disadvantaged. As a result, you find that there are not many women who are educated. Then those who've managed to get education a little bit, it's also a struggle to get access to universities. That's why I find that in most institutions, the lecturers, the professors, and in most private sector, the chief executive officers, they are men. They are not. We don't find many women. So the focus right now is that women should strive for education. They should work hard and get educated, and also that African men should work together with African women to allow to open up space in political structures, in economic structures, in public space, so that women can contribute fully as human beings who can really provide a service and work hard. Actually, what happens is that when women are empowered, you find that the children are also taken care of. I think a lot of research has shown that if women are economically empowered, they provide for their children, they pay fees for their children, they give children more nutritious food, and the children become more healthy. So it is an advantage for the states to support women. And also the Millennium Development Goals is one of the goals that education should be provided to all. Everyone must have access.
In your opinion, Millennium Development Goals, were they a good strategy? Were they really a strong tool for women to get empowered, especially in education?
They gave an opening framework and an opening space whereby women could push for this agenda. So I think they really provided a platform for women to go from the United Nations, to go to their governments, to go and lobby that women should be given access to education. So it was, but it is for the African, for example, in Africa, the African Union had to come up with its own strategies on how women can have access to education. Yeah, there's been some progress, but there's still a lot that needs to be done.
One interesting idea about education and the higher institution is based on diverse innovation between two education institutions in Finland and in Tanzania.
The situation is that we have been working quite a long time with Tumaini University Dar es Salaam College, and when the former project ended, we decided that we want to continue.
This is Ritiva Hitinen. She works with Turku University of Applied Science in Finland.
And what we thought is that in Finland and in Tanzania, pedagogical model is quite different. And they were very curious how we teach.
Tumaini Dar es Salaam College, in short, TUDARCO, based in Tanzania, is central for quality education, offering a diverse range of academic qualifications. TUDARCO, along with Turku University of Applied Sciences, have started to perform an idea that brings students in one hand and entrepreneur on the other hand to assist each other in a learning process, putting much consideration on women participation.
The Project IRIS concentrates on reverse innovation. There are like 3 parts. One part is like curriculum development. Second part is like support local micro entrepreneurs. And the third part is like improve access to information, especially on official information. And these 3 sectors, they are all linked together. What we try to do is to make those micro entrepreneurs and especially women micro entrepreneurs work with the university so that students who should learn their economic and how entrepreneurship works and what it means, they are not learning that in theory in classrooms, but they operate with micro-E's there where micro-E's are.
uri inzozi nkumbura iteka ntazabona ukabika ibibi byasaze umugongo waho nishima uri kure kure nk'ijuru undebesha andi maso nkakubona.
Climate change is another issue that challenges women development in different ways. In 2015 and 2016, rain did not fall on Somaliland. These affected seriously 80% of the country's population who depend on small-scale farming. Crops didn't grow, livestock died, and people suffered. We discussed more about climate change issues and how it affects livelihood in Somaliland.
My name is Jenna Kettunen, and I work in the Finnish NGO called International Solidarity Foundation. I work as an advisor on livelihood issues. Mostly I work with climate change, adaptation, agricultural production and entrepreneurship support. We have had in livelihood projects, first of all agriculture sector projects, that the objective usually is the local food security. And first what we try to do is to get the production volumes, the quantities to produce bigger, because they are super small in Somaliland. So that you have an area of land and you produce more there. But the other challenge there is, as we talked about, for example, the refugees and internally displaced people, that most of the land that you could produce something, you don't produce anything because people have left and then they come. So you get more area for production, and then you build the knowledge of people how to produce, so you get more production. And there you need the water, you need better seeds, you need more understanding the techniques and how the soil works, etc. And then from that you get also the production security, that you can say that every year I get something and I can have a food for my family. And then the next step is that you build the production in a way that you can actually sell something out of the farm and organize yourself, for example, for production groups or cooperatives, which is more official. So then you improve the food security, not just your village, but outside as well. One example is that now that we have this water dam, we have harvested the water. There we have around 400 square meters greenhouse production. There are women groups that produce vegetables and they sell. Supermarkets call them that, do you have vegetables? That's the situation in Somaliland, because not so much food is produced and the market is empty. Most of the food that is sold there comes from neighboring countries. But it's a long way to go with the people, and it involves, other than agriculture, trainings and advice sessions, etc. We also teach people how to read and write and calculate, because the basic skills are very weak in Somaliland. Then outside of the production and agriculture work, we have had vocational training center project that was a success story. The challenge with the vocational training is that more than 70% of the youth in Somaliland are unemployed. So it doesn't help a lot if you have skills, because there is no work. So after the vocational training center project, we started the pilot project with young people in Burao town to start their own business, small businesses. And we started as a pilot project, which was very small. We only had 17 youth, but they have the 7 businesses in Burao town running. They have employed over 20 people to work in their businesses, and they are expanding their production. So we work with the entrepreneurs. And now we are launching a new project that we work especially with the women entrepreneurs. So we are starting to plan a program with them that supports the profitability of their very small enterprises. We start with the numeracy and literacy skills, then have a basic entrepreneurship skills, but also ways to support their enterprise product development, how you provide services, how you calculate that your business is profitable, that how much I should sell, that I get some income out of it. And we will combine with this kind of capacity building or training program also some other more like how could I put as soft topics. We talk about the family relationship, gender roles within the family and within the society, gender-based violence issues, and trying to build kind of the life skills but also the entrepreneurship skills. So this is very shortly. What we will do in the future, we have made a decision that we concentrate on improving the water, access to water, the availability of water in the villages. So we will build more flood water harvesting systems with the irrigation systems. So that's in the agricultural sector, that's the first priority. And then what is very important, especially with the women, is the basic skills. So numeracy and literacy. Because if you don't know how to read and write and calculate the basic things, you can't handle your own life. You always need someone else to take care of you. And in the long run, I would like to see that the capacity of the research institutions in agriculture sector in Somaliland would be strengthened. We have started the collaboration with the Natural Resource Institute of Finland, and we are trying to apply funds to start a project of building capacity of the universities in Somaliland. Actually, not much research is done, but to start building the capacity how to do your own research, and also linking the local universities there to universities in Nordic countries and surrounding countries. That's very important. You can't have a new solutions to new situation if you don't have your own research in the long run.
Now, towards the end of this small interview, would you say that these Millennium Sustainable Development Goals that has taken over the Millennium Development Goals for another 15 years and going to end in 2030 would be a success?
It would be good if they could be a success, but they can only be a successful if there is a resolution or resolve to achieve them. So what I would suggest is that governments really need to be pushing very strongly for this for the achievement of these development millennial goals, and also activists in different countries should be really mobilizing so that people know about them, and then so that they get enough support. And then also the developed countries, because when they were passed, the development countries promised that they were going to financially support. So developed countries should financially support. And also the poorer nations or poor governments, they promised that they were going to be accountable, they were going to be open, they were going to improve their governance institutions. So if all this is done, then I think they can be achieved.
Thank you very much.